All right, welcome everyone to another episode of Modern Wong Chat, where I talk with my friends, guests from different industries. I know we talked to a lot of streamer, gamers, cosplayers in the last recent episode, YouTubers, but I finally get to talk to more photographer friends soon and today as well. And today we are going to have Wong. Well, he go by Wong, but I know he's supposed to go by Benjamin. I'll let him explain that in a bit. But anyway, you are watching this on Twitch right now, twitch.tv/ModernWongPhoto. Of course, you can also watch this later on my YouTube. It's just Modern Wong Photo, same thing. And you can find me on Twitter, on Instagram, on everything. There's also some extra content on Patreon if that's what you're into as well. No problem if you don't want to. We are also, on again live every Tuesday to Thursday at 7 p.m. So today's a special episode, which is gonna be fun and new experience. And again, thanks for everyone for joining, for following, for subbing. I should turn off that light. I forgot that does that because I was doing a gaming stream earlier with Stella, and every time someone's follow or someone sub or whatever, it will do this flashy color. I'm gonna keep it on. Hopefully, it won't be a problem. Anyway. Today we have Wong, so I'm gonna bring him on, and hopefully my Streamlab is working because everything is kind of messy right now. All right, cool. I think we're good. What's up, Ben? What do I call you anyway?
Do I call me whatever comes to mind? Whatever comes to mind, man. Ben or Von Wong, whichever one you can remember. But my real name is actually Benjamin Wong.
Okay.
But the problem with Benjamin Wong, as you know, is a Martin Wong. It's kind of common, so it's hard to stand out.
Yep.
Which is why I had to invent the Von Wong thing.
And then again, people always ask me, anyone that has the last name Wong, it's like, oh, are you related? Like, no relations. I mean, we are maybe a certain step, but not as far as we know at the instant sense.
Probably a couple hundred years ago or thousands of years ago. Yeah,
possibly. And yeah, I have someone. Have you heard of this guy called Jimmy Wong? He does like YouTube videos as well, do fun stuff, talk about racism stuff. He's like in the new Mulan, but then I had him on the show like a few weeks ago, and he was like, "Oh, are you guys related?" It's like, no, nope. But then he does have a brother that work in the same industry, so it's kind of like, I can't just say like, "Oh, you can't just assume," because it does happen sometimes. So I was like, okay, fine.
Yeah.
No, I actually so in the cosplay scene, for example, a lot of cosplayers or photographer have like a different name. They might go by some cosplay name, something like Princess Peach cosplay or something. And photographers, some of them have that as well. But that doesn't stand out, And also people gonna not remember you that well and they get confused. So I just stick with my name. I did pick Martin, I wasn't born a Martin.
Cool.
I picked it.
There you go. So you've also chosen your own name.
Yep. It's kind of like a choose destiny kind of decision. So I'm glad I did it. So, we'll see how it goes. I think I'm kind of stuck with it now, so it's not a bad thing. Yeah. But where'd you get Vaughn? Just kind of randomly selected?
Yeah, so Von means from in German. It's the first level of aristocracy. And since there's no more Tsar in Germany, you can't earn the title. Like you can't earn the Von title. And so I figured, well, there was not a single Wong. And so like Von Wong means like from the family of Wong. It's like a title. It's like duh or any other language, or Van in Dutch. And so I just thought it was kind of cool. And then it stuck. I mean, it was kind of spurred on by necessity because when I first started off my career as a photographer, and it was, the first thing you do is you look for your domain name to see like whether or not you can get it. And benjaminwong.ca was like a wedding photographer that lived 6 hours away. And I was like, I can't do that. Yeah, I need something else. And so Von Wong was born. And it's funny because it sounded really weird when I first started it. It actually took me like 9 months before I like truly adopted the name. And it just sort of grew from there. And here we are.
I actually really like your logo.
Oh, thank you.
The simplicity of it, but also like you can tell, like, especially if you know your name, then like, I'm still trying to figure out. I feel like MW could create something, but hopefully it's not like too obvious. I don't know. It's like logo is difficult. You want it to be simple, but get to the point, but also like very, I don't know. It's much harder than I expected.
Yeah, I actually hired someone to do that because for the longest time, I just didn't have a logo. I was just using like Bank Gothic bold as a font, and it was just like a typeface logo. And it was only yeah, and then after I don't know, like I think I had made some shirts and I was thinking of merch and apparel and I realized I could never have like a square logo and it
Mm,
just drove me crazy. So then I eventually hired someone and the funny thing is my logo is still not square. It's actually more rectangular. So I haven't actually solved the problem I originally set out to do. But it does have like a couple of things that I really like about it. Like it leans a little bit
uh-huh.
forward, so it's kind of off balanced. And I feel like that's
Hmm.
kind of very descriptive of my life. I'm constantly off balance. It's very sharp, so it's kind of like on the cutting edge of things. Uh, and yeah, it's got like that duplication, which is almost like a fast forward, or
Hmm.
it has this like sense of acceleration. So overall, I think the guy did a really, really great job to capture
I like it. And
capture my spirit. Yeah.
I made a YouTube video about a while ago, like a year and a half ago. But it was talking about all this cliche that new photographer have, like using a aperture logo or like
Oh
using
yeah.
selective color. But like, yeah, there's like, and as soon as I made a video, a friend didn't watch it, and then he came to me and say, "Hey, I got a new logo because I'm starting out doing photography or videography." Instantly, an aperture. I was like, "Yep, yep." That's
Yeah,
the
that's
common
usually
thing
where
that
we start. I think we've all had bad logos in our careers.
or
So
have that logo or have tried a selective color and
yeah,
I mean,
or
we
really
thought we were
horrible.
very
You know
cool.
the really horrible watermark that
Yeah.
you cover
Mm-hmm.
like really, really big. It's like the
Mm-hmm,
bigger
mm-hmm.
your watermark, the worse of a photographer you are. Is usually the correlation.
Pretty much.
And then you
And
slowly
then,
grow out of it, and it gets smaller and smaller. And so it's just ironic because you try so hard to protect work that like a couple years down the line you realize is totally mediocre.
and yeah, and now that's like with Instagram culture and everything, it's like I can't even watermark myself because if I watermark them, they don't get share, which is very ironic.
Mm-hmm.
But if
Yeah.
they get share, but they have no watermark, then unless they credit you, then people don't know where it's from. So it's kind of like a
Catch 22, right? Yeah. And then you
yeah.
photograph like you photograph people who are more famous than you.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
then ultimately the attribution generally goes to the person with the loudest voice or the
Yep.
most popular account.
Like
I feel your pain.
I was talking to friends about it, and I was saying like it sounds nice. Like people would like my stuff because of my content, not because of me. Because like technically, like we're like kind of like content creator in the business sense. They call us influencers. For most influencer, it does sound very nice. They like you for your content, not just for you. But then the problem is that they like my content for the person in the content, but not really me. So it's it's hard to
Well,
like.
what do you want, man? You take photos of good-looking people.
I know how dare them. I need to.
Yeah, how dare they like those good-looking people?
That's why. And you know what's doing better now? If I sometimes take pictures of cute cat, and that does
Oh,
even better. And it's I don't know.
wow.
It's annoying. I like
So
this is
do you
yeah.
have a pet then?
My housemate do. I'm living with some housemate right now. I moved in like earlier last year. They have two cats, and then now we're stuck in shelter at home. So we just whenever I'm bored, it's like, all right, cat, you're my model now. Let's play.
Got it.
And people love them. And
Yeah,
either
that's
that or my most engaged photo right now this month. Well, two of them. The first one that did really well was my April Fool's. Was me in a skirt. Again, not
Oh,
my best
wow.
work.
I think it's a sign. I think you need to wear more skirts.
It's
Clearly, that's what needs to happen.
right. That should be my OnlyFans or like Patreon or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
And,
More skirt, more skin. Just
yep, I shaved my legs for it, and I have to shop my
wow.
legs and everything too. And
Wow, you went all out.
and the best photo that's doing right now on Twitter for me was last week. I spilled milkshake all over my table, all over my keyboard, and that was my best engaged people known photo right now at this moment. And
Wow.
it's not any of the work that I spent hours and hours on. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I went through that. I went through that sort of similar journey. I don't know, almost like 7, 8 years ago. Back when I started, like Facebook was the only place you would really
Yep.
place photos. I think Facebook and Flickr, 500 pics wasn't even out yet at the time, and I remember like the reason why I got into photography was because of the instant gratification, like that
Mhm.
exact flow of being able to say like, oh, I created something and I get like likes and comments, and so you're using likes and comments as your metric of what's good work.
Mhm, mhm.
And then I had like a similar moment, maybe a year and a half in, when I'd taken a selfie and it got so much better performance than this other shot that I had taken forever to do, and I was just like, I think I need to recalibrate my metrics of what makes a good image. like, what am I actually trying to get? Am I really just trying to get likes, or am I trying to create something that I'm proud of? So I had to kind of face that pretty early on. So yeah.
So what is it now then? What is the decision making? Are you going for the virality, or are you going for good photos that you think is good?
Well, it depends what we're talking about, because I'm known as a photographer because I take photographs
Mhm.
and I occasionally create campaigns where the photographs are featured up front and center. But I, practically speaking, take very few photographs. So I take like maybe 20 photos a year effectively, that I share or post. And the rest is all just done with my phone, like just standard selfies or whatever. Recently, as I was traveling, I was using an Osmo.
Mhm.
I was just using this because I was like, oh, I need some super simple selfies of me in action. And the Osmo Action Cam has a front-facing screen, and I could just like
Mhm.
clamp this, and it was just content, but content without the intention of engagement. I think I left the influencer circles a long time ago because I just couldn't, you have all these best practices of what Instagram expects you to do, right? Post every day, post at the same time, post similar content, like
Mhm.
all these things. And I chose pretty early on to not play that game. And so I fell behind, and it's never really bothered me. So I have followers with mediocre engagement, um, but I don't create for the engagement. The engagement is just incidental to the quality of the work that I do. And
Mm.
I think that's been a really great decision, because ultimately you can't become an expert at Instagram because Instagram's constantly changing their algorithms.
Oh, they don't even
So
know how it works themselves.
yeah, so at the end of the day, you just become like a slave to the platform. No matter how
Mhm.
hard you work, how many hours you pour in, and how much you hack the system, like, you may become an expert just for a couple months or maybe a year, and then it'll just change. And then
Yep.
and if your entire business model depends on engagement or like all these like
On a
superfluous
platform.
things, yeah, then it just doesn't work so well. I mean, at least I'm not interested in that lifestyle. Maybe I should rephrase that way, because some people do it.
I mean, now is what the next big one right now is TikTok. Lots of kids are doing it.
I know, I
It
know.
just make me
I
feel
have.
old.
I look at the rate of creativity, like how fast people produce things and how often they create, and
Mhm.
it just feels so tiring. Primarily because it's like being in the rat race, and you can never escape it. Because the
Mhm.
minute you stop running on your treadmill, the
Mm.
minute like everything you worked so hard to build disappears. And it's like when you start jogging and then you run as fast as you can, and the treadmill is moving, and then at some point the treadmill will run faster than you can keep up with it, and then you burn out.
Mhm.
um,
Mhm.
and I feel like, I don't know about you, but I feel like I've seen that quite often, in worlds where like people no longer enjoy the content that they're creating. They're like a slave to the content that they have to do.
That's kind of how I am
um,
with cosplay. Like, ironically, it's a love and hate thing because I first like shooting cosplay because it's such a interesting culture. I'm not a hardcore nerd like most of my friends, but I still like it a little bit. But I really enjoy shooting it because it was interesting. Like, because you have all these people who got materials from a fabric store that they have to find some really rarely, or like, I mean, even online even wasn't that easy. There's no big sharing platform like Instagram or Facebook, so people have to make costume based on watching like old cartoons, anime, like TV show, just to get some reference and try to guess how to make the costume. And it was really creative, and I really enjoy how people were doing it. But
mhm.
then now it's kind of changes again, as you said. No, then we're chasing for Facebook like, Instagram likes, and luckily, I am happy about that. Did again double-edged sword. Like, I am happy that it did bring me a following and help me get my work and name out there, so more people can see my work. But then not anymore. Now is that doesn't first of all, it doesn't happen anymore, and second of all, I don't enjoy creating content because I know what would do really well on the internet, but at the same time, it's not what I like. It's not the same. And I really
Right.
wish that I can make what I like and then show them, like, hey, I know what you like. That's cool. I'll make some of those for you guys. But can you also like the other stuff? But it's such a huge imbalance. People obviously like one over the other. And
Yeah, for sure. But at the end of the day, right? If you don't want the content to control you, and you want to control the content, then you have to make those hard decisions, because I mean, the algorithms don't, the way they work, or the way they're currently working, are all basically trying to convert humans into products, right?
Mhm.
So you, as someone who produces a show, become a character on the show. You know, if you post every day at the same time every day, you're basically like a TV show. Someone's subscribing to your life, and you as a character to which they subscribe to has to fall under certain rules and regulations. So it's like
Mhm.
you can't turn on the TV one day and if Homer became like, he suddenly decided he didn't want to be fat and lazy and wanted to be athletic and healthy and smart and started working on it, like then it wouldn't be the same show and people
Correct.
would tune off.
Mhm.
So but the thing is, like, I don't know, I don't want to be a product, right? And at the end of the day, it's, one of the interesting things I think is that um, if you are just feeding people so that they can consume, they're never going to be satisfied, right? You can never create enough for them to be satisfied because,
Okay.
right? It's an insatiable bucket.
Mhm.
People are always
Mhm.
going to want more. They're always going to want something different. They're always going to push you. They're going to expect it, and then you have to deliver. And it's just like such an unsustainable model. Like it's like consumerism versus creation.
But then
And
is the other way also sustainable too? Like where you're creating what you like and
well, the only way to get paid to do what you want is to get really great at it.
uh-huh.
And to get really great at it, you need to put time into it. And you need to prove that you can do it, right? Nobody hires you to do something they haven't seen before. So
Mhm.
in a hypothetical world, if you wanted to do weddings, but we're only doing cosplay, then no one
Mhm.
would ever draw the correlation between the two. They want to see a wedding portfolio, not a cosplay portfolio. So,
Correct. Uh-huh.
right. So if you want to do weddings, then you have to start shooting a couple weddings, do a couple for free, and then start building it up, right? And start showing and broadcasting what you do at the expense of your engagement and your following. I think like that's, it's easy to say. I know it's super hard, especially if you've designed your life around it.
Uh-huh.
And I think one of the things that I've been lucky to do is that when I became a photographer, um, I very early on decided that I didn't want photography to be a job. I
Mhm.
only wanted because I had just quit my day job. I was an engineer before. And
That's like a lot
so,
of us. Yeah.
yeah, but it was basically like, if I don't want to be an engineer, uh, and I want to have a passion or something I enjoy doing, then I should make sure to protect that.
Mhm.
And at no point should I go back to photography being a job, because if that were the case, then I should just go back to my old job so I could still have something that I enjoy doing. And so I've always
Yes.
been really careful to try to protect that as much as possible, um, in a very practical way. So
Mhm.
I think maybe a good way to look at photography is to not look at it as a lifestyle, right? Like, uh, photography is the tool that you use. The
Mhm.
lifestyle that you want to have is completely different. And so
Mm.
photography, let's say you like traveling and you like
Mhm.
meeting people and you like being creative, being surrounded by creatives. If photography is the tool that allows you to do the things that you want to do, that's
Mm.
great. But if it's not the tool that you need to accomplish the life that you want to have, then you might want to start looking in somewhere else. So, I mean, in your case, perhaps you're like, oh, actually, I really love having great conversations with people. And so now
Yes.
you have a Twitch stream and you've adapted. You're not a photographer. People might have discovered you through photography, but
Mhm.
you're crafting the world in which you want to live. And I think it's about looking for those opportunities, on how might you do the things that you enjoy most. And funny enough, like, you probably became a great photographer in the cosplay scene because you love photography and you loved cosplay and you did it for free so much until you became really great at it.
Mm.
And then you could get paid for it, right? That's sort of like how
That
things
is what
work.
happened. Yeah.
Yeah. But like, if now you're like, oh shit, I don't like this anymore and I really want to do this other thing, you have to do the same cycle, but it's so much harder once you've attained some success somewhere, because now you need to go from like the top of one mountain back to the bottom of another mountain, and it sucks.
And like, because we also kind of forget how hard it was. Well, because in the beginning it wasn't difficult because we didn't do it for that reason. We did it because we enjoy it.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, like, for example, Twitch now. Me trying to grind the Twitch platform stream, or like getting that kind of content. It's quite tiring compared to doing photography and stuff, because it's a bit different. But I still enjoy it.
Absolutely.
I would say I
Yeah.
enjoyed it more than photography for now. At this very moment. But then because it's new, it's interesting. As you said, I like talking to people. Is
Yeah.
It's different. But it's
Maybe, one of the things that I've been trying to focus on a little bit more, and this is something that's changed over time. So I think my last like 5 or 6 years of my work has always been focused on the output of what I create. So I only
mm-hmm,
create, like for the last 4 years, I've only created campaigns to
mm-hmm,
make a social impact.
mm-hmm,
And so if it wasn't going to accomplish something good, I
mm-hmm,
didn't do it. So that's like all my fun photo shoots stopped because I really wanted my work to mean something.
mm.
And so I basically turned down anything that was just for fun. I stopped all my collaborations. I just focused on 100% on like saying, I'm going to figure out how to combine fantasy and impact.
That is
Um,
hard. That is like, especially the saying no to things that you might enjoy and also might be good pay. You'd be like, nope, I don't want to do
yeah, it
that.
took me 18 months to get my first paid job after I said I didn't want to do that. So that was pretty painful. But but like but one of the things that I'm trying to get back to is like, what do you enjoy the process of doing? Like what is something that you enjoy doing and that you could actually convert into like a hobby that you want to do? So a very practical example of something I'm trying right now, I realized a couple months ago, I was talking to one of my friends who's nomadic. She's been traveling the world for 5 years. And I
Mm,
just asked her, I was like, how do you decide what to do with your life when there's no roadmap? You have no one similar who's leading a similar lifestyle. You have, you're not an influencer, you're not a mentor. You're like, she'd organize like dinner parties and she'd like facilitate conversations and she'd like connect
mm.
people. Like it was just like super vague, right? And
Okay.
it's not basically not a career path. And I just never understood how her life worked. So I asked her like how she made decisions. And she gave me like two frameworks. The first framework that she would follow is the principle of ikigai, which is
Mm,
the Venn diagram of what you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you can
mm-hmm,
get paid for.
mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
and, and those circles just cross over. And
I see
if
what's
you can
overlap.
find that center,
Mm-hmm.
that's your compass, that's your North Star.
Mm,
And then the other half of it, which is the part that I didn't know about, was you try to take a look at how you would spend your ideal week. Like what would you do with your time in like a dream week? What would you invest in? Is it like working out? Is it hanging out with people? Is it meeting people? Is it making something? Is it editing something? Like what would you spend your week doing? Um, because the way we spend our time is probably the most indicative of what we wish we could be doing. And find a way
mm.
to combine those two things together. So the ikigai with the way you spend your time. And if you can do both of those, then you have like a roadmap for what you
Oh,
might want to
man.
do, which is really, really interesting for me. And so I realized that one of the things that I really love doing is having deep, meaningful conversations with people.
Mm-hmm.
And I personally have been struggling to understand the intersection of art and impact. It's like, how do you
Mm-hmm.
measure it? What's the role of art? Is it useful? Is it helpful? And so I ended up starting a podcast because it was a way to operationalize my
Mm-hmm.
conversations. And as I do these conversations, it's allowing me to do many things. One, it's giving me an excuse to reach out to people and get to know them better.
Mm-hmm.
Two, it's forcing me to study them prior because I have to do my research.
Mm-hmm.
Three, during the interview, I record it and then I have to go edit it so I can
Yep.
like study even further. And then I have to synthesize it all into show notes and then I have to share it. So like that knowledge now is actually like, it's useful on many levels. And because I'm doing it for the process, or the most
Mm.
important part of it is the process, it doesn't actually matter that my podcast doesn't have that many views, right? It's
Because
like
you're
it's
still doing it.
secondary for now because
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing it because I truly want to spend my time doing this thing. And I think, and we have to talk like in a year, but I think that this is a pretty good strategy to build something that's eventually going to be good enough to get the sponsorship dollars to
And
become the product that I could
mhm.
actually self-generate revenue on.
That's kind of how I for my this talk as well, this podcast I'm having, because as you said, no, I enjoy talking with people. I want to know about their life. That's kind of why I got into photography in the first place. Also with influence from family and stuff like that. But overall, is that I'm very interested in people's life. I'm an immigrant, so
Mm.
I walked many different paths of life, knowing different cultures. I travel a lot. I love traveling as well. So I guess I'm always just like to learn more and discover how other people see things. For me,
Mhm.
it's always like I mean, especially with Eastern Western culture so different. My understanding is that everyone has common sense, but the idea of common is different. That's the main
Nice.
part. Yeah. So um as you said, I'm doing this, of course, no. Hopefully, if we can get more view, more traction, great. But even if not, I enjoy talking with people. Hopefully, this can improve my process. And I want to be, now that I feel like I'm older, having done this for a while, I want to be more realistic as well. When you're younger and also when you're first starting out, you either do a lot of pretend or like you really try to impress
Right.
people. So everything you say, it sounds very disingenuous. Everything's just like very fluff. Everything sounds great. You always sound happy. You're cool with everyone. But as you get older, that is not the case. And I think it's not something I don't want to afford to lose more time to being not real about how I see certain things in life, how I feel it, because then they don't really know how I am. Especially being a photographer, it's always behind the camera. So
Mm-hmm.
if it's already enough they don't see my face, then they definitely do not see my perspective or my view or why I do certain things. Especially in my industry, there's a lot of bad actors in it, and there's people that try and be photographer for some other objectives that I really don't agree with. Sometimes not even legal. So I'm like, no, that's not how I want it to be, and that's how it shouldn't be. But it's not always for me to say. But at least I want to show more like, okay, that's not how I would do it. So maybe other people understand and able to, agree with me on certain parts.
Yeah. But I think maybe the piece that you might be missing as I hear you describe what you enjoy doing is what you're going to be offering to the people who are listening. So like if I break down like the business model idea behind the podcast,
Mm-hmm.
if I'm interested in impact and I'm tackling a subject matter that people don't really know, and these are all hypothetical, right? So I think it's really hard to measure the impact of art. I don't really feel like many people have cracked it. And so, but everyone recognizes that art is important. And the creative economy brings billions of dollars in every single year. Yet it's only being used for a fraction of its potential for entertainment. And so to me, I see an opportunity there in becoming an expert in the space. Because if you become an expert, who knows? You could write a book. You get to speak at conferences. You get to become a subject matter expert. At which case, if you become the spokespersons for arts within the impact space because you understand it so well and you have so many reference points to refer back to, that means you could potentially travel more, engage in speaking engagements, and so forth, right? So there's a lot of like layers of benefit there. And then the other question that I'm thinking of as I create the podcast is that, yes, this is something that I'm interested in learning, but why am I trying to learn this? I'm trying to learn this because I want to transform my own ability to tell better, more impactful stories. I want to transform my own ability to become a better designer of stories within the impact space. And so that becomes the offering for the people who are following it. Because ultimately, I took this community design course a couple weeks ago, and there's one sentence in particular that really stood out to me, and it's that people don't pay for content, they pay for transformation. Right? So if you're just delivering content, you can only charge like a little bit of money, like a few dollars, like a Patreon model, like $3, $10, $15. It's almost like people are like, oh yeah, you're kind of cool, I want to like support you. But if you said, I can take you from where you are now to where you want to be in a tenth of the time, it'll cost you this much. That's when you can start charging thousands because you're charging for the transformation. You're offering them a thing, right?
So like entertainment. So, it's a cross between.
Not necessarily.
No?
Well, I mean, it doesn't have to be entertaining. It could just be a transformative. But I just think like this idea that if the key is to provide people with insights to transformation and not just to entertain them. Because if you're just entertaining them, people can find entertainment anywhere else. But it's really hard to find people who are able to transform the way you see the world. It's really hard to find someone who makes you into a better person, who helps you get to your goals. I think that's why like relationships are so difficult. Because when you have a partner, yes, they can be attractive, and yes, the sex can be good, and yes, you guys can get along. But like, are you becoming a better version of yourself when you're together? are they
Mm.
becoming a better person by being with you? And are you guys like helping each other get to
And that's
where you want to
difficult.
get to together? It's super hard to
It's
find
so hard. Yeah.
because transformation is the hard thing. It's a really, really hard thing to offer. So if you can crack that code, that's when I think you can really, transform things. And that's why you see these like ridiculously expensive mastermind groups. You have these really big transformational workshops similar to
Uh-huh.
what like Tony Robbins will offer, right? Like and
Yep.
it's not because you're not there to hear Tony Robbins talk about what Tony Robbins talks about. You're there to unlock your own potential
Yeah,
of
because you want to
belief,
learn
of
about what he
rewriting
did, you
your
can just
script.
Google it. Yeah.
Exactly. Because the knowledge is out there. It's free.
Yeah.
The content is there.
So is that your plan too? Is that what you're trying to do?
No, it's just what I think about. So I like to do things that I enjoy, but I always consider, like you said, we're kind of getting older. We're becoming ancient, ancient at 30 something.
Good thing we
You
kind
need
of look
to-
the same for the last 10 years, and hopefully
we're
for the
gonna
next
look
10
the
years.
same for the next decade.
Yeah.
But like you still need to like think of like what are the steps you're gonna hit, right? What are these little milestones and how are you gonna make what you do sustainable? So I personally don't have a scarcity mindset. Like I feel like no matter what I do, I'll figure it out and that money will come sooner or later. And that's just how I live life. So as a result, I'm not an optimal business person. However,
I
I
agree. Yeah.
However, I've
Like,
also never struggled. Right? I've never worried about being homeless. I've never went like I go through like dry periods, like a year with no work or something. But it's intentional. Like I'm not stuck in a situation. So like when COVID-19 hit this year, I was planning on being nomadic. I just ended up coming back home to my parents' house, and it's totally fine. I'm just downsizing. Plans completely changed. All my work got canceled, and I just kind of roll with it. I don't know. I see opportunity in everything. And it's not always like rainbows and butterflies. I mean, it's always easy to talk about these lessons in like in a webcam format. But yeah.
I mean, we have a Chinese saying, like every time there's a danger, there's an opportunity.
Yes, wait, see.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. And I mean, this is like also a chance for me to discover new things too. If anything is more of me to see, am I more flexible than I really think I am?
Yeah.
Or am I actually less flexible? I've been trying to. I mean, I feel like creating demand is such a hard thing. Because most of the time as content creator, most people, majority of people are supplying a demand. Like you're making content for people, you're making stuff for others, but it only takes to a certain step, I feel like, to transform to creating demand to tell people what they want to see. And that's why I want to wonder, like, do you feel that way? Like, because like you are self-described as an artist, right? You do lots of stuff that making an impact through art. Is this something that people will not really consider until you show them? But once you show them, you realize, oh, they do understand and they do want this. But before that, it's not really a thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a work in progress. I mean, my style of photography, which is these large, extravagant, complex sets combined with impact, is something that not many people do. And even if they do these experiences or installations, they don't do it with a community and they don't tell the story of how it was created. So, I was given a piece of advice in 2012 by Chase Jarvis, who is another photographer. And he said that if you figure out what the one thing in life you can do that nobody else can do, then you never have to worry about getting paid another day in your life. And I took that to heart, like this idea that if I could just be good enough at something, if I could just figure out what made me unique, then, when someone wants to hire you and no one else in the world can do it, then you can charge whatever you want for it. More or less.
That's only if they want it, though. That's the thing. You can be the best, like, stamp collector, but if stamp collection is not really something people care for, then it's tough, man. Like, you could be the best of the best, but, is it something that...
I don't know. I think the world is a really big place and people have all sorts of crazy fetishes. And if you become really great at basically anything, there generally is a market for you. I remember going to a conference and hearing a guy who was like the foremost expert on making instruments out of ice.
Okay.
And I was just like,
that's very niche, very specific.
How did you do that? And then there's this other guy who like was like the world's best replica creator of miniature furniture from like the 18th century. And so he would take like cabinets and like make them like this big. And that was his thing. And I was just like, how? Right. And then you'll meet people who are like,
wow.
I don't know, like knife experts, and they'll make like $10,000 kitchen knives. And it's just like, who pays for that shit? But someone out there will pay for it. Yeah. Because at the end of because at the end of the day, these are people they're at the top of their game, and they're doing something that's so, I think when you find people who are like true artisans or masters of their craft, you can't help but wonder, like, what is it about them? And so while if you pursue only the short-term gains, you'll never create, or you probably won't create like this like long-term container around like what's truly interesting. I mean, you look at some random athletes, like the guys who, I don't know, walk across the Arctic with like a sled or whatever, and you're just like, how are you making a living walking in cold weather? Like, that's basically what it is. But they somehow manage to do it because people are intrinsically drawn towards the power of great story, right? They're drawn towards stories of human resilience and passion and motivation. And so if you can figure out and you can unearth what truly drives you, then the rest sort of will flow around it. One of the recent industries that I've gotten into has been the speaking industry. And and when you speak for corporate gigs, you can get like when you start out, you're earning like $3,000 to $5,000 a talk. And then after a year or two in, you can probably hit $10,000 a talk. And I'm talking like 45-minute talks, an hour talks in front of the right crowd. And then if you reach someone like, I don't know, Hillary Clinton gets paid somewhere around the lines of six figures for a 15-minute speech, right? And it's just like people are really interested in stories, and stories are new and exciting to anyone who hasn't heard them before. And while you might not know what your story is right now, looking at it currently, if it can all be stitched together into something that truly makes sense, that gets people to stop and stir and wonder what, how, where, I think there's a lot of value in that. And you don't get that by just chasing the short-term gains. And I would say like even the content creators that are super successful, like the, let's say, super influencers, they're successful because of like their consistency, and they do this like it's a grind, right? It's
but
not.
If they stop.
But if they stop, they'll still have their story. And you'll see influencers pivot and change industries and start product lines and start other things. Some don't, but you can always pivot. It's never going to be easy, but I think if you build the foundation, you can still make the change, and people love.
A lot of what we learn is the skill sets on how to adapt that way. Like many things, especially content creator, influencer, what have you not. This was never a job that was kind of like an options, like a normal options. You don't like, oh, when I grow up. I mean, now there's kids that do that, but us, no one is like, yeah, when I grew up, I wanted to be a YouTuber or like a influencer. That's not the thing. So if you're able to learn from what you did from your skill sets, like being a content creator, being a photographer, whatever you're doing, if you can transfer that into something else, and I think that's very valuable. And
for sure. But I mean, even you look at someone like, I don't know, Casey Neistat, he's done like a zillion things on the side, but what he truly loves doing is content. So he just keeps creating his content, and people like him for it, and he's happy doing it because he's not a slave to his own product. I mean, he wants to do it, but I look at his life and I go like, I don't want that life. That's not me, right? And I think that's okay. And it's important to like ask yourself if just because someone is successful or just because they're leading a really great life, if that's actually the right life for you.
So for your projects, I know because you also usually have lots of volunteers that help you with your projects. Do you find those people align with the same mindset and same ideologies that you have? Is that why they want to help?
It's changed over time. So my volunteers used to be predominantly men, predominantly photographers who just wanted to like see how I lit my sets and how I produced them.
Mm-hmm.
And over time, as I got into the impact space, they all became female. And they all didn't really do photography, and they were just there because they wanted to help and they were curious about how it works. So it changes, man. I think when you get into the impact space, whether it's the environmental movement, pollution, humanitarian, it doesn't actually matter what kind of impact you want to have. You're surrounded by women. And this is the women who like care about this stuff, and the men are just driven by their ego. So it's just like a really funny dynamic. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, because that's not something I would really think about either.
Yeah, like right now I'm volunteering for an organization called getusppe.org. I was sitting at home feeling really, really privileged because I have a roof over my head, I have electricity, I have food, I have family, I have health, and I'm just like, man, there's so many other people in the world that aren't as lucky. Mm-hmm. What can I do to help? And so I eventually found this organization called getusppe.org, and I'm volunteering with them as like a creative director / campaign strategist / something like that. And like they're in these Zoom calls that we have, there's like me and one other guy and like 18 women. And just like everyone's a girl, and I don't know what the guys are doing, but the girls are helping. And yeah,
maybe that's a way to attract more people, let people know that, hey, you should help out. There's actually a lot of women in the scene. Maybe that's not the right reason to get into it, but it might be next things like, oh, actually I really enjoy helping and stuff. What was the last project you were doing? It was the was it the computer one, or was it a different parts one? Was it water?
No,
the straw.
I've done probably, yeah. So the straw one was the most successful project. We collected 168,000 plastic straws over 9 months in Vietnam, and cleaned them and converted them into a Guinness World Record art installation to raise awareness for plastic pollution in Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
That was in February of last year that we launched it.
And that was your latest one, I think, right?
No, right after that we went to Singapore and collected 18,000 plastic cups and converted that into some caves. But after those installations, like I realized that I was spending a little bit too much time trying to figure out the installation world. Like, so I went from photography, like basically temporary sets, to creating semi-permanent sets. And that jump took a little bit of time because it's a completely different budget range. If something needs to stand alone for a little while, it's also just a different product because now you're going from selling a photo shoot to selling an experience. So you need to have a space that will sponsor it for an amount of time. And so everything comes with everything comes with a whole bunch of different constraints. And so and then after I had done these projects, I realized, like, you know what, creating installations isn't what I thought it was. Originally I was like, if I create the installation once, then we can just have it travel, and then I could make like a passive income if I rented my installations around. But I didn't realize how much logistical work it was.
To maintain or to build it?
Well, everything. So you have to build it, you have to tear it down, you have to store it somewhere, you have to sell the rental. I mean, it was just an entire operational nightmare, and I hadn't considered all of that. And so I had to kind of revisit my business plan and figure out, well, what exactly am I trying to do? So I wanted initially to shift more towards more permanent installations. There were a bunch of malls that reached out. I eventually ended up having to change my entire business model because I realized I had so many requests. Like, people would come in and be like, hey, I love what you do.
But
no, I love what you do.
Oh,
do you have any ideas? And then we'd go through this whole process. You'd have like a month of conversations and ideas and stuff, and then for whatever reason, it wouldn't go through, and that would be like so much time wasted, right? And that happened twice with 2 big potential clients, and I was so frustrated that because I had actually like blocked off months of my life in order to work on these projects. But I was so frustrated that I was like, you know what? I can't afford to live to like, this is not a sustainable business model if I'm wasting so much time pitching all the time and not doing. And I had a conversation with one of my mentors who had some brilliant insight, which was that, you know, artists only get paid for execution, right? You only get paid if you shoot the photograph and deliver it. If something goes wrong in the middle between planning or concept or model not showing up, whatever happens in the middle, if you don't
No
execute,
deliverable.
you don't get any money. Consultants, on the other hand, are the reverse. All they need to do is think and plan and come up with ideas and design stuff. And so it's like, what if I restructured my business model and then I had consulting for the design phase and then I had execution for the artist phase? Then I could do both at the same time. And so I had to kind of go through this whole different like shift in my business model to restructure that, because I mean, it sounds easy now that I figured it out, but like it took me a long time to figure out like what was not working and how does it apply to like what I want to do and so on and so forth. So I started doing consulting, and then I had speaking, and then I had execution, and then I had 2 big projects lined up for this year, and 1 major consulting gig, and all of them have disappeared. Or are on standby is probably the better way to put them. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, none of us expect this coronavirus situation, and it's annoying. I had a few projects that was coming up and I was supposed to do, and again, everything is just on hold, and we don't know how long that on hold is. So we're not putting it off the table, but it's like on the edge of the table.
Yeah.
Because
I'm just assuming everything is canceled, and so I'm actually quite curious to see what the new opportunities are. I'm pretty stoic about life. I don't know about you. Like I think in life there's basically things that happen that you can control and things that happen that you can't control.
And things you can't control, don't worry about it. You can't worry much.
Yeah, and then just like forget about those. So like I've already like forgotten about my other projects, and I'm just like, okay, what am I gonna do about this situation now? And like
pretty much
what's like a fun opportunity that I'm missing. So
podcast.
Podcast, volunteering. So the volunteering is interesting because now I'm testing out what it's like to go from execution to strategy, right? Because I can't go anywhere. I'm just designing. Yeah, so I'm coming up with ideas and managing that.
Exactly. What are these ideas that you're coming up with that cannot be executed right now? Like, are you still coming up with ideas that like, okay, well, we can pivot in a way for companies to make things to work, or charity?
Well, I mean, stories always need to be told, right? But for someone to want to hire you to tell a story, they need to know that you're able to tell their story. So if we go back to the idea, like no one wants to hire you to do something they've never seen you do before. In my case, I don't think anyone would hire me to come up with creative strategies, because when you look at my portfolio, everything that I've done has only been under my own name, right? I'm not a creative director that's created a campaign for this company and creating a campaign for that company and created a campaign for that. So no one's ever going to hire me to do that. So this is an opportunity to do something good in the world and to learn. Like, and even if I don't get any work from this, it's fine, because I would have learned something. I would have tried something new. And I think like finding those overlaps is like really interesting. And so yeah, I mean, it took a long time. I mean, it took me 4 weeks to figure out like, what am I going to do with myself during coronavirus, right? Like, what is the value of story in a time when like so many more critical things are important? And I'm super grateful to have found a place where I can work for free, because it's giving me a little bit of a sense of purpose, sense of belonging, a sense of community, and a brand new challenge that I can hopefully step up to.
Okay. So for your vodcast, I know you're saying you're talking to different people to learn their stories as well. What is the focus? I actually didn't know. I want to, ask you more about it.
Yeah. So the name of the podcast is called Impact Everywhere, and it explores positive impact in unexpected places. And so, I've talked to anyone from, people who design installation art to advertising agencies. I had a Oscar-winning film director. I have a social entrepreneur who, kickstarted his own company from, being homeless on a couch to a $600,000 Kickstarter, which now has evolved into a social enterprise where for every product they sell, they take out a certain amount of plastic from the ocean. And so it's basically just finding unique and interesting people who have found ways to have impact in ways that you might not have considered. Because after all, what is the definition of impact? We don't even know. Because impact can be positive or negative. It can
Are you able to measure the impact that you have done from your past project? Or is it something that you just can't, it's impossible to measure?
So I can't measure. I have quantitative statistics. So I can say I had 100 million views on my different campaigns. I have qualitative stories where I can tell people that as a result of doing this, I've changed this person's life, and I can tell that story, but I don't have a full picture of it. And so that to me is really frustrating. And it's something that I've been working on trying to figure out how to change. And I'm not sure if it's possible, but I'm asking the question. And sometimes it's important to ask the question because you start discovering interesting things. For example, I've discovered that if you try to measure the impact of art in a measurable environment, then you can measure the impact. So if you create art inside of a hospital where everything is being measured, the number of times, the amount of time a person comes in, how fast they're healing, all these different things, then you can measure the performance increase in a patient. So
especially
I was actually talking
before and after kind of thing. Yes.
Yeah, because and I was talking to a guy who designs VR experiences, and they're participating in a clinical trial. So they're studying the psychological effects of virtual reality on the ability for a patient to get through a surgical procedure easier. And as a result of designing a pre-visualization experience, I think it was like eight. Only 1 out of the 80 patients that went through the thing had to get the anesthetic shot. But each shot cost thousands of dollars. So they're saving this group, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so now you can measure the value of the impact, right? Because you can measure cost savings. And so if you think about, if you start designing your projects differently to better measure the impact of what you do, and the impact is very different from the number of views it gets, right? Because on one hand, you have the output of your work, and on the other hand, you have the outcome. The output is what you've created, and the outcome is what it's accomplished. And so it's important to differentiate between the two, because if you pursue the wrong thing, then you will never be able to measure it.
Yeah.
Right? So if for example, in my projects, instead of designing and saying, I'm trying to have as many views as possible for my project, I should have maybe tried to target one single policy. Because if you get to change a policy, then you can say, as a result of this campaign, we managed to get this policy to change this rule that has now affected this many people. Right?
And that's
so you
much more
look for the state changes. And it's a lot more work. It's a lot more work. But if you don't think about it, you'll never start finding those things. So those are the questions that I'm asking different people.
Okay. That's, again, as you said, you're right. It's a lot more work because you're designing something now. It's not just what you're making, That's smart. That is a smart way to decide. Again, that's where experience coming in. That's why you're going to be doing consulting work.
Maybe, I don't know. But the thing is, like, for me, making became so easy, right? Like photography is 3 settings, right? It's shutter speed, aperture, and ISO. And then you have composition, and then you have some lighting, and then you have editing, and then that's it. Like, there's only so much you can do. So like, it's like a curve. So in the beginning, you really suck, and then you get good super quickly. Like, there's like this 1 year period where you go from like 0 to hero. And then to go from hero to superhero takes so much effort. It's
so hard, yeah.
But it's not worth it because you've already gone from 0 to hero and it only took a year. So
and
like,
the problem is also people don't, and the impact is also kind of like, it's not as exponential too. Like my photos, for example, me spending, let's say, the first hour on a photo, gonna be much more changes or much more effective on that photo. But the last half an hour doesn't matter as much. People, most of the time, they don't even see it. Like
right.
0 to 80%, yeah, they can see the dramatic change. But 80 to 100, whereas like, oh, this is gonna make the picture like close to perfect. But nobody gonna care. But you're still gonna waste so much more time and energy on it. wish there's a way that we can kind of combine the two, like can show that one part that can set us apart, and that's why we spend so much energy and experience and time on that 180% to 100%.
Well, if your 80% to 100% isn't showing up, then maybe you can also consider where you can spend that same amount of time, right? So let's say for every, I don't know, let's say you could edit a photo in 5 minutes to 80%, and then the last 20% took you like 2 hours. What if you spent those same 2 hours trying to create the story around what you created, right? So that's kind of like what I did. I shifted my time from post-production into pre-production. So I spent months creating pre-production so that I spend almost zero time in the post-production. And then the wrappers around it, like I'm spending more time on my projects, but I spend time creating a behind the scene video. I spend time creating a campaign. I spend time building relationships with companies. And so my time is not spent, because if I took all that time and I invested into this one photograph that like 0.1% better that it takes to get there would be totally ineffective. So I think considering that you only have so many hours in a day, right? We go back to that question of time. How would you want to spend your time is super important, because it's not about what you create. It's about how you got there and what it accomplished. And those are also really important to consider.
How close are you at that ideal goal where you combine the, what you want to do and also what you're good at and everything?
Oh, yeah. So I think life is like this. I think there's like, this is where you want to be, and this is where you are, and you can try to close this gap as much as you want.
Shift, yeah.
But it's never going to get there. So
that's a very artist mindset too. I think it's us. We're never fully happy. It's just always like, oh, I'm getting happier, but then like this kind of move, and then every time the goalpost just move a bit further every single time.
It is. It's a little bit frustrating, but I think it's just
it's
the
a
way
gift and a curse, and especially us being Asian is a very Asian culture mindset. Like if we're fully happy, we'll never improve. So it's a gift and a curse.
No. It is. Right. It is an interesting one. Not sure there's a solution for it.
Once it's over, any project you wanted to do but haven't got a chance yet? There's got to be always a project that you want to do. I don't want to ask a stupid question where it's like, oh, what is your dream project? That's always a weird question because that changes all the time. But
I mean, I'm trying to create. I'd like my next big project to prove that it's possible to achieve social, economical, and environmental change through the power of art. So I want to create a project that creates work for the community.
So the project that creates projects.
Yeah, basically a project that creates work for the community, that protects the environment and educates the people, and is self-replicating so that can grow over time. So I want a project that I can plant a seed for, that I can design a framework around, that I can measure the impact of, and that can have impact not just once in a point in time, but over a duration of time. And this is something that I've been wanting to do for like over a year now, and it just takes so long to get to that point. But like that's what I'm aspiring for, and I don't know how to get there.
That's
but we'll see.
Difference between growing a tree and planting a forest. Like a forest is a sustainable ecosystem. You're growing a tree, it's like, okay, making sure this one tree grow nicely, but you won't want an ecosystem where it keep growing,
yeah, but you don't need to be the only person to be planting the tree, right? Maybe you just need to find the army that is waiting for the next thing to do, right? So it's about finding the allies. Also, it's not just about working really, really hard. Sometimes it's also about trying to work really, really smart. So I don't know how you get there. And I don't know how I'm going to get there, or if I'm going to get there, or whether or not I'm going to get bored and change my mind. Those are all possibilities, but that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Good luck. question: where can people
Good
find
luck.
you? It's difficult.
You're
like,
just you're like, I don't even know what to say to that.
I already give up on that. Like, it's great. I mean, it's amazing, but as amazing as it is, like, that is not easy, man. Like, I'm already start
No.
brainstorming on like how is that because even you doing it yourself, you have been doing many projects for the last 10 years, and before you were doing impactful project, you were already doing other type of projects that's not trying to impact the environment or anything like that, and those were already semi difficult. But with with this, if there's so rare people that can do this. You're a few people that can do it. Now you have to figure out how to make it so others people can do it. That is not like you. That's
that's a hard one.
that's the same as like us hiring people to help us, right? It's like we can never hire the person that we're able to do what we wanted to do, because if they can do what we do, they'll be doing their thing, which is what exactly. But that means they will never get to do what we kind of want them to do as well, because they're not like us.
Well, I don't know, because when you look at the people who are the most successful in the world, even if they're artists, take someone like, I don't know, Ai Weiwei or whatever. He has an army of people helping him to be who he is, and this is true for fashion designers, to actors, to movie directors. These are people who build teams, and it's because they build amazing teams that they can do amazing things. And if you never grow past the confines of only being able to work alone, you're very limited in what you're ever going to be able to accomplish. And that's something that I struggle with, right? Like, I'm still a one-person team. I've been a one-person team forever, and I find
do you do workshop?
Like photography workshops?
Or I don't know, maybe you should show for not just photography. Maybe the front seems like photography, but what you're really teaching is how to make the impact. Because that's how you have more people that are like-minded who want to do what you're kind of doing, but then they can also support what you wanted to do.
Yeah, I'm curious about creating community, and that's because I don't necessarily see myself as an expert, right? Like, I don't have the solutions, but I do think that if you have the ability to convene people who have a shared mission and who are looking to have the same transformation as you are looking for together, then you might be able to accomplish a lot more. And so, I don't know. Like, I don't do workshops because people go to workshops looking for a quick fix. Like, they go there looking for the easy solution to becoming an expert at something. And the truth is, it's like, it doesn't work that way, or I don't think it works that way. And so I don't know. I don't offer workshops right now.
That's like asking like who make the first self-help book.
Yeah.
Because I didn't do it because of through workshop. I didn't get to where I am because of doing any workshop. I mean, I'm not sure about you, but I didn't even go to school for photography at all. You did.
Yeah, no, I didn't either.
Most of us have not, I feel like.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I did do teaching. I did teach photography for a long time, and it was great. But over time, like, I just, everyone comes to these workshops just looking like, okay, what's your lighting setup? What camera do you use? What's your editing technique? What software? Like, what plugins are you using? And it's just like, yeah, but that's not the point, guys.
What I don't like is that I see people sometimes say it on my comments on my photos as well. It's like, oh, Martin, I really appreciate how you post the, your settings, of the photos. But like, it doesn't matter because like, you're not going to take the exact same shot in the same environment. There's so many changes. Knowing the settings,
it doesn't matter.
Maybe you're a very true beginner. Then maybe you kind of have some idea that helps you. But beyond that, it doesn't do anything. It's like giving you a recipe, but then doesn't tell you, what kind of oven, how many food you're cooking, and what you're cooking at all. It's like, oh yeah, you can just use the setting for any food you cook. It's like that's not how it works at all.
Yeah.
But that's what people are looking for though. This is the quick fix. We are in the fast food culture now in content. So
I think it's just what guys look for. Girls never look at that. Dudes are so focused on numbers and like quick,
data driven.
Yeah, and if you go to like girls for the most part, and I don't want to be like sexist about it, but I just feel like they're like trying to capture an emotion or a feeling, or it's like it's always a little bit different, and I think that's actually what it's about. They're more focused on like on what the outcome of what they're trying to create is. Whereas I think guys are just trying to focus on like the technique to get there. The how. They're so focused on the how, not the why. And I think that's a flaw in many people, because ultimately it's not just about the how. The how is a tool.
Yeah.
Right.
The how is more like a solution to get to what you want, and I have that. I tell that to people all the time too. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, for example, I always tell people I don't use Lightroom, and it blows their mind because, like, I don't need Lightroom. I just want to find a way to create the photos that I wanted. It doesn't have to go through this certain way. And same with Photoshop. There's so many different ways to get to the results that you wanted. And people are so, like, everyone also went through the HDR phase.
Yeah, the HDR hole.
Oh my god! Have you seen, like, that's one chart that I'm sure we all have seen, like, photography and learning, and they went through this HDR thing. It's like, why? And it's weird. And then we have a lot of circle jerking in the photography scene in the beginner, especially in the cosplay scene. Anyway, where can people find your podcast? And when are you starting doing it?
Yeah. I'm at like episode 5 this Monday. So it's pretty fresh, and
is it weekly?
I'm doing it weekly, launching every Monday, and it's really good because it keeps me accountable to my own growth.
Schedule.
So I'm quite liking it. You can find it at impacteverywhere.org. And I think I post about it occasionally on my Instagram at Von Wong, but impacteverywhere.org is where you'll find more information.
And I'm sure you are, except Facebook and Twitter, you're Von Wong.
I am Von Wong on Facebook. I think I'm the Von Wong on Twitter, and I am Von Wong on Instagram.
Yeah, well, someone's stealing it. You should steal it back.
I can't give it back. I can't. I tried reaching out to Twitter, and it's just like an account that's completely hasn't been used in like 5 or 6 years or something. I can't get it.
I have friends.
Very sad.
We know people in Twitter. We should try to see if they're not active. We pull some string.
I've tried. I had a person, and he couldn't get it done. Apparently, they've changed their policies to make it harder to take names back.
I used to work in Silicon Valley. Also work in tech. So again, very different than photography. But yeah, I didn't tell anyone I worked there, because if I do, I'm sure I'll get this floodgate just open up. Everyone's like, "Hey, can you verify me? Can you change this name? Can you do this?" You know, I secretly helped a few friends, but never like tell people. Like, if anything, I just tell people, I know a friend that works there. Maybe I'll ask them. You know, but once I tell them. Oh god! So only a few friends know when I was working there. Now there's more people know. I used to work in the social media company, but different.
Would you ever go back?
I don't know. Because like, it's one of those things, right? If I can do what I'm doing and what I love for a living, I would definitely love to do that. But I didn't get to where I am without doing the desk job. You know, the little 9 to 5 that I hated. Because like when my last desk job, it has to do three things for me, right? It has to either pay me really well, but that's because money allowed me to do stuff that I love doing, you know, like traveling, doing photography, or it has to like promote me so I can get to a higher position, which also might go back to money so I can do what I wanted, you know. But also I want to be more creative by having, you know, taking different projects. Or lastly, it has to teach me something, you know. And if not doing any of this, then I'm out. And that's what I did. You know, I was at Facebook, and then it was like, hey, I have idea to improve your system. I have a way to make this better. And there's so much inefficiency. And that's why we had a job. A lot of people have a job because there's so much inefficiency. And I feel like they needed 3 people to replace me after I left. But I could also make it so it doesn't require me at all. But they don't want to listen. They don't want to improve. When companies get bigger and bigger, they want a system that doesn't want to change. And I get it, you know. I might become that if I have a big company too. I don't know. Never been there yet. But I don't know. Maybe I will go back just so that once I maybe do this, I will never be sick and tired of doing what I'm doing right now because I love it. I do love it. But maybe I can change it so that what I learn from here can bring it over there and change and make an impact on that kind of culture, and maybe change it a little bit so then it'll be different. Maybe. Or unless I start something that can do the same change. I don't know. What about you?
The future will tell. Oh, I don't even know where I could go work. I mean, I was trying to write out my dream job a couple months ago, and I realized like it actually had nothing to do about salary. It had everything to do about impact. Like, I would be really excited about creatively controlling a large experimental budget that I could use to create stories that I felt would be meaningful and projects that I thought would be exciting, even if I wasn't the one to execute them. On a similar note, like I'm also interested in growth but always in service of something greater. So I don't know when and if the right offer comes, we'll see.
But you need
I
money
definitely
to
don't
have
know.
power to able to make those changes. Like how I see this, my perspective for the longest time is that you need to gain power to share power. Like if you're just a person who doesn't have a lot, it's really difficult to make changes. And the difficult part is that a lot of people might have that ideology starting out, but once they are part of the system where they kind of earn more power, they forgot what they want to do in the beginning. So then they kind of become part of the system. You know, it doesn't transfer through. So
yeah, but like there's a lot of different kinds of power. There's like soft power and hard power. I don't know if you have a girlfriend, then your girlfriend has a lot of power on you, and they didn't have to accumulate a lot of wealth to get there. Right? Just as like a really weird example, as like a completely sideways example.
But that means you need something that people love.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you have to prove something. I mean, someone like Greta Thunberg didn't become rich to then become powerful. She just became powerful as a byproduct of a lot of weird things. So I don't think they're mutually exclusive. I just feel like if you go down, I think there are a lot of different ways to accomplish what you are trying to go after, and impact means a lot of different things. And I don't think you become impactful by pursuing the desire to become impactful. It's just like you can't become a billionaire just because you work really hard. You become a billionaire because you're really passionate about something, and you get really passionate about something else. And then you take those ideas from these two passions and you combine them to create something the world's never seen before. And then through the process of pursuing something you're really caring about, you then become, empowered to do more, right? So it's like, you don't become rich and powerful by pure virtue of wanting to become rich and powerful. I think it's sort of the reverse.
Well, I said, money to me is more of as a tool, It's not what it is by itself, it's what you can do with it, That's what I'm saying earlier. It's like getting promoted. Yeah, having a bigger job title doesn't mean anything in real life. Like you can't really hold it or touch it. But it allows you to maybe earn more money. But then the money is not really the thing that you want anyway. A piece of paper doesn't do anything. But it's that what you can use it for, change something that maybe that can, as you said, the transformation part, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, it having more money helps, but I have to say, just speaking from the projects that I have done, just because I have a bigger client doesn't mean I'm going to do better work. Because with a bigger client comes more red tape. It comes with more meetings. It comes with more nuances. It comes with more liability. It comes with more risk. And so I think what you say is true. Like, yes, we need all these things. The world we live in is a capitalist one. Money makes the world go around, and all that absolutely. But don't feel limited by your lack of access to capital to do the thing that you really want to do. Because if you truly want to do something, you'll find a way to do it, and the money will come.
And of course, coming from you, that's definitely makes sense because you have done it. Like we have all seen you do it, all the projects.
Well, I don't know if I've done it. I know I'm trying to do it.
You have done it. Like almost all your projects were like that. So I'm like, okay, cool. I wonder if it's different how people, because of course, in the photography community, we have lots of people who know who you are, what you do. I wonder how are new people coming in, understanding who you are. I wonder if it's different than how we saw it or how we started it together, like around the same time, because we've seen all our photographer friends, they all have accomplished different things, different routes. And we all kind of did it because we just wanted to do it at first. No one really wanted to do it to be famous and powerful. It's a byproduct, it comes along. But
yeah,
I don't know. I wonder if the new kid's going to see it differently. Because I know it's very different in the gaming and cosplay scene, for me at least. Like we did it because it was fun, it was enjoyable, it was more of an escape, if anything. But now it become a full-time job for some people, and there's people that come, up and coming, saying that's what I want to do for a living. That's what I become.
I think So I went to Bali, I don't know, 7 or 8 months ago, and I had been there before, and Bali has become so weird. Um, in the past, when you traveled somewhere, you went there to have an experience, right? You want to
Hmm.
go see something new, you want to experience it, you want to discover a culture. Um, Today, when you travel and you go somewhere because you saw it on Instagram and because you saw a photograph that you liked. And so you go there and then
Very
you line
creative.
up for like an hour and a half to take the exact same photo as the 100 other people that were lining up in front of you
Hmm.
to take the photo that you saw on Instagram. And so the activity is actually the photograph, not the experience. So people literally go to all these different destinations. Like that's the plan, to go and take photos of things that they've seen or to brag about it to their friends. And that same thing propagates throughout everything from the restaurants you eat at, because now you can take photos of the food that you've ate, to
Hmm.
the places you visit, to the people you hang out with. And it's really, really weird. And I think maybe for someone who's grown up, it's a way for them to touch, influence, or like be a place where someone else has been that they saw and admired, or like to in some ways you're fulfilling a dream, right? Maybe you were sitting at home and you're like, man, I really wish I could be there, and now you're there, so
Hmm.
you're gonna walk through the motions, but it's different. So I don't know. I do think it's changing. I don't know if it's better or worse. I mean, I feel like it's worse, but who am I to judge? I think every generation thinks the last generation was crazy. So it's not really like judgmental, but I find it so weird. Um, and it went to the point where like I just didn't want to go anywhere. I was just like,
I see
tell
that a
me where
lot.
tell me where there's no people, and I want to go there.
I see that a lot right now on Instagram and TikTok culture. It's really strange, as you said. For example, one thing I keep seeing common is that people will start doing a lot of video and photos of them going to the places, but not actually the results. But they would like to post that, oh, you want to follow me to see the results and be doing that specific thing. And then you have all these couples that pretend they're like discovering new location, but then they're being videographed and photographed by obviously like a professional team, or at least one person, a professional photographer, videographer. And
Yeah.
and again, it's an experience that is strange because everyone knows that it's not real, but they still want to have the same experience that it's not real. Um,
It's a
I,
show,
I
man.
I thought about this. Like, do I
A
want to be a
circus.
travel photographer? Those travel blogger where they get paid to fly around and then go to all these places. I wonder would I enjoy it. I feel like that's something I would want to do if I have like a girlfriend, to be more like, hey, this is an excuse for us to travel more together and be together, and that's just the work that's kind of allow us to do that, not because of the work itself. I don't know. I mean, technically, do you
Or
do that?
or you
Yeah.
could earn. No, no, I don't do that. But I mean, I travel with my girlfriend, but we actually, it's hard to say. It's changed over time because my projects take a long time, right? So like when I
Yeah.
did Strawpocalypse, it took a month. We were a month in Vietnam, and my girlfriend came to help out, and so
Hmm.
she would say that we just spent the whole month working. I would say that we spent a month together on a cool project. Um, but we're getting better. I mean, I'm getting better at balancing that out and like trying really hard to like carve out space.
Hmm.
Um, I think there's a mentality of scarcity. You always wonder, when are you going to get the chance to do this thing, or how are you going to make this sustainable? And that's definitely always in the back of your mind. So it forces you to live a certain way. But I'm trying to change that. Yeah, my girlfriend lives in Australia, so we've been together for 5 years, long distance, and
Can you do long distance well? I feel like I couldn't do it. That's why maybe don't have a girlfriend yet
oh, I
or
love long
recently.
distance. Long distance is great. Um, I mean, I think if you had a girlfriend now, she'd probably be long distance anyways because everyone's quarantined.
Yeah.
um,
That's the problem
but
I'm seeing on
no,
Tinder right now. Like they allow you to do like travel on Tinder, so you can go to different location to match with people.
hmm,
So it's kind of like that. But it's like but then meaning when this is all over, if it does, then it'll be strange for me. I mean, I don't know. Would it be strange to be like not sure how I feel to have someone that's so far away, that's not easy to meet up?
I don't
You
know.
know,
I quite like having a long distance partner because when we're together, we can be together, and
Mhm.
then when we're
Much more
apart, we can
precious.
we can be our own people. And so, being far means that you really have to think about why you're going to see each other and whether or not it's worth it. And so I think it's a really great reality check all the time. And we get to grow. We grow in parallel in different ways, and then we'll, check back in, see if we're on the same page, see what we're doing, and then we'll go back and do our own thing. So yeah, no, it works really well.
My struggle with my photography as well, because my type is a lot of portrait cosplay, sometimes boudoir, sometimes nude, imply, whatever. It's about finding people who are understanding what we do. It's like, oh, it's just work, man. Like, it's literally just work, and not have a jealousy issue. So it's like, it's hard. You have to find people who are kind of maybe either in the same industry who understand how that's like, or someone who's completely out of it and like don't care. That's my struggle.
I can't help you on that one, man, because I don't do that.
Yeah, what if you start like
it's like, I mean,
I'm
sure your followers are just like, oh man, I feel so sorry for Martin. He has to like shoot all these hot women all the time. Poor guy.
So poor, yeah. Poor. I mean, I get hit on by guys all the time thinking I am the girls. I don't know how. It's like, it's different models every single time. Sometimes they're even guys, and sometimes they're all different ethnicity, different hair colors, different shape and size, and they will still hit on me and telling me how much they love my breast.
Because guys they don't look very deep, do they?
Most of them don't, unfortunately.
It's like, ooh, boobies. Let me say something. Yeah.
That's why I'm trying to go all PG-13 too, but like here and there. Well,
yeah.
Whatever. Anyway, this has been great. I love it. We should do this more, even not for podcast or podcast or whatever.
Oh, good. I have no idea like what's happening on your stream. Like, how does it work? Do you see is there interaction? Is it one way?
There's more follow. There's some people commenting, here and there. But this is also going to be again on iTunes, on Spotify, on YouTube. So, and I also have an editor that will help me make a bunch of videos. So clips I can use for post on Twitter, so more people can find this. I mean, again, it's kind of new. This is my 10th week of doing it.
Yep.
You are episode, I don't know, 23, I think, somewhere around there. So I'm still learning about it. But I'm interested in how it's not about your podcast itself, but I want to see what you learn from doing it. So
yeah. Dude, I found this app. Yeah. I found this app that I'm loving. It's called Descript. Have you heard of it?
Okay. No. What is it?
Descript. It transcribes your entire conversation. And you can, instead of editing a waveform, you're editing words. So you can copy paste words and paragraphs around. And it's $10 a month, and it's amazing.
Okay.
It's just a really cool thing.
I'll check it out. But stay on the line. But for people who are watching right now, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for listening. And if you're listening to this on Spotify, iTunes, find us more on different places. I'm Martin Wong Photo. That's Wong, and I'll see you all next time. All right, see you guys. Bye.